Well, I'm not even halfway through Bloodborne yet. I guess I have a lot more lack as it goes. Hello, y'all. This is the Ninja DC. Let me just be real with you, quite literally. Lacka, it's not really working out. See, it has its merits as I have quick turnarounds and don't worry about, well, bad copyright claims. But it just doesn't really suit the channel, I feel, so I'm going to be cutting out Lacka. In the meantime, I'll be working on different video formats, currently the live action variety. So for the next few Lackas, you have to get used to my face. I'm sorry about that. Yes, I am still using that intro, until I get a better one at least. However, we're talking about the episode this time, and yeah, I didn't really want to start with a negative review. But I found this the weakest episode of the season, even weaker than Appaloosa, primarily due to its, well, clusterbuck of a structure. It has its merits, especially if you're a Pinkie Pie fan, because there are, well, key elements within an episode that develop her character pretty well. Besides that, though, yeah. The best way I like to describe this episode's structure reminds me of a bad video game structure, in that there's a few set pieces they try to get to, or set scenes in this case, but they didn't really work out the story in between, so it's just sort of like, let's just make it work. Sort of like those equations you see where it's like, profit at the end, blank here, get there, whatever. That's pretty much this episode's structure I felt going in. And like with video games, I also feel to get to those set pieces, there's a lot of stalling in between. And unfortunately for us, most of that stalling involves Yaks. Yeah, I've never seen characters this flat, annoying, and one-dimensional in the entire series. I'm really trying to think of worse characters in the entire franchise. I'm even including Snip and Snails from the original Equestria Girls film. Oh gosh, they're worse toddlers than the actual toddlers. Incidentally, that was another Pinkie Pie episode. And yeah, even worse than that is, like I said, they're the main filler in between the good Pinkie Pie moments. And it's always the same joke. Always the same failed joke. Let's try to please the Yaks. Oh no, we can't exactly get what they want. They rage. Repeat the next scene. It wasn't the funny first time. It was barely funny the last time with Spike. We should have cut most of them. The only likable Yak, incidentally, was a younger one, which, even though he had no lines, he seemed to have a nice little personality about him. Or her. The Yak stalling also hinders the whole episode's structure because so much time is spent on it. I mean, literally half the episode is that failed joke. So we don't get the development needed for the other aspects which are good. It reminds me of the worst aspects of Magic Duel mixed with the worst aspects of Putting Your Hoof Down. And when I mean worst aspects, I'm talking about structure-wise. Now, as Putting Your Hoof Down's overly drawn-out Act 1 that repeatedly hits you over the head with a problem, mixed with Magic Duel's stuffed and underdeveloped plot lines. The party cave in particular just felt out of place, in the same way that Zekora's training scene felt out of place within Magic Duel. It's a cool scene, actually both of them are cool scene and help develop the characters involved, particularly the party cave, which helps develop Pinkie Pie and how the rest of the main six see her. However, it just doesn't really fit the episode and the episode theme that's within. What I mean is, it's basically an idea where the main six get to see how much work Pinkie Pie puts into, well, her parties. However, they never doubted her within the episode itself. They were always putting their full faith within her. So they basically have a resolution to an episode where they end their doubt about doubting Pinkie Pie, in an episode where they don't doubt her. It just feels out of place. It's cool and would have made a great episode on its own, but it doesn't fit within an episode that deals with Pinkie Pie dealing with troublesome clients and essentially trying to show, well, it's not what they want, which is Yakistan, but what they need, which is more difference. Getting them out of their comfort zone and exploring Equestria, sort of thing. The whole episode itself is just filled with these random plot points that are sort of hit or miss. It makes me sort of appreciate how M.L. Larson did it with Slice of Life, where, yes, random, it's a clusterfuck of an episode, but it works because it's basically building chaos. However, like I said, this episode does several hits and successes, the number one being that Pinkie Pie is actually portrayed well, in a way that adds depth to her character. For one, Pinkie Pie is actually portrayed well and in a way that adds depth to her character, and with the party cave, it quite literally adds depth to her character. And then on top of that, the facial humor is just gold. Not just gold, it's platinum. This is some of the best facial humor jokes within the entire series. The animators really went full stop with the panic faces. Not to mention, in general, the non-yak humor as a whole was pretty good. In particular, cheese. So I feel at the core this is a good episode, or at least the episode's core is good, but it needs to be more focused and polished. In particular, less yak time, more Pinkie time. Because we really don't need to have it hit over our heads again and again that the troublesome nature of these yaks. We could have just had the first intro sequence and then some off-screen references to that, yeah, they're still creating chaos with their smashing attitude. But pretty much we could have within 5 minutes had enough info for Pinkie to say, okay, I need to go Yakistan, get some actual first-hand experience, and then along the way all the shenanigans happen where she keeps getting lost and somehow goes in the wrong train in the wrong direction, which ends up going throughout Equestria, whatnot. As an introvert, I'll admit that Pinkie Pie is my least favorite of the main 6. I generally find people like Pinkie Pie, actually I've met several people like Pinkie Pie, and I just find them a little tiring. Not bad, but just a little tiring. That said, even I was annoyed by how little time she got within her own episode. It sort of reminded me of the worst aspect of the key episodes from last season, where for some reason the rest of the main 6 are within episodes where maybe half of them at most should be there, but the other half are just taking up space and specifically time that should be better devoted to the ones the episode is built on. So yeah, this episode's a clusterfuck, and its problems are likely linked to a new writer just basically overstepping themselves with their first time out. However, there are good aspects like I brought up, so I look forward to the next future episodes where he's basically not trying to cram too much within. Well, this is Ninja DC. Keep calm and an open mind. Just when I gave him a compliment, they buck it up again.